Hi, nice to see you again. It's Graham Martin. I'm the recruitment guy from orchardjobs.com. Today I want to talk about, for me, what is probably one of the most important aspects of performing well in an interview, and an area that really isn't spoken about that much, and a lot of people they really don't put much effort into it, and I think it's such a shame because it can make a difference, a real difference between an average performance and an excellent performance that might mean you actually get the job offered to you. And what is that? Well, as I talked about before, we're talking today about the questions that you can ask the interviewer, not the other way around. It's questions that you can ask. Because how many times do people go for an interview and at the end of the interviewer says, "So, have you got any questions for me?" And you actually haven't got any lined up, and it makes you look pretty daft. So for me, I think a bit of time spent in researching and considering the kind of questions that you can ask can make a big difference. My first tip though, before we get into the actual specific questions, is what you actually use to write your questions down on. For me, I'd think strongly about investing in a hardback book to make some notes and to write questions down. Sure, you can use a shorthand pad or scraps of paper, but this kind of thing is going to look much more professional. So it's about £4 or £5. It will last you for years. Get a good one. Make sure you keep it neat and tidy, and use that. And of course, you probably heard me talking before about get a decent pen. Don't chew your pen. It doesn't have to be a Mont Blanc or anything expensive, but just a decent 50p black or blue Bic is more than adequate. So to the questions. The kind of questions that I think you should be asking are specific to the role and the organisation. So of course you need to have done some research. There's a very good chance that when you do go for the interview, that the interviewer is going to start off by saying, "So, number one, tell me a little bit about you, and secondly, what do you know about our company?" So you need to have done some research on the business. But there's a good chance that you won't have got everything lined up or done all the research about every aspect of the business. So get some key questions down on paper. The kind of things I'm talking about are: who's your main competition? Who is some of your major clients? When are the busy times of the year? What are the plans for the future? So I'd get those down. I'd also be talking to them about maybe how the internet has impacted their business, how they're dealing with the recession, current economic times. If they're exporting, how does the change of the price of the pound and the euro or the dollar affect them? Start thinking about it from an employer's point of view. They're interested about getting a feel for the research you've done, whether you've been bothered, and whether you understand the impact of the economy and competition and the new ways of doing business that are affecting their organisation. And in my opinion, oftentimes it's not the best person that gets the job, it's the person that comes across best in the interview, and the interview questions are a big part of that. Yes, your answers to their questions are very key, but also the questions that you ask them. If you're going into a management role, of course you've got to be talking about the staff that they've got, any challenges in the team, whether they'd like to grow the team or maybe contract it, what kind of software is being used. I'd also be considering, maybe not necessarily for junior staff, but for certainly people that have got maybe 5 years experience under their belt. I would talk to the manager or the interviewer or the HR director about what is the management style in the business, what is the culture, what is the ethos. And again, you can start having a conversation around that. So they're probably going to say, "Well, what was your existing company like?" So you can talk about the differences. Remember, people are going to recruit you if you come across as being engaged and intelligent and having done you some really good research. So at the end of the interview, invariably there's going to be a stage where they say, "So have you got any questions?" And of course, you're going to have most of the questions covered. But if you've got maybe 10 or 15 written down in your hardback book, then there's bound to be one or two, just one or two at least, that they haven't answered. And you can say, "Well, actually, you covered all my questions except for these two." So I would then be bringing them out. And it might be a good idea to role play it with a friend or a member of family, or maybe the recruiter that has introduced you to the company before you go in, so you can get used to the kind of answers and just get some practice talking about, let's say, e-commerce and how Web 2 has affected the business. Very occasionally though, every question that you've written down will have been answered. And when they come to say, have you got any questions, you're stumped. But for me, there's one question that you can always ask, and this is my killer question, and the employer will invariably give you exactly what you need to make it really work. And that question is, what kind of person are you really looking for to fit into your business? And at that point, guess what? The interviewer will go into hopefully a lengthy discussion about values, culture, work ethic, spirit, and all the things that he's looking for. And you as the interviewee can sit there and go, that's me. And at that point, the interviewer will feel bonded with you. So if that's only one thing you pick up from the video today, it's just that. The final question would be, what kind of person really fits in here? So I hope that's helped you. I hope that's given you some food for thought. And if you do already use questions in an interview, great, but hopefully that's given you a few more to expand upon. In the next video, we're going to be talking about how to actually behave in an interview and to give you some top tips. So I hope you're looking forward to that. So remember, it's Graham Martin. I'm the recruitment guy from orchardjobs.com saying goodbye.